too much.
Renny, I'm an alcoholic. That's why I went full glass. Look at all that shit in there.
I told you it's cancer ice.
Well, it's already gone.
You have like legit chopper lifestyle now.
No, dude, it's not that.
I think it is. I think you collected rainwater and then stuck it in your freezer up against that thing and then made this ice chisel by hand. It sounded like you were trying to kickstart your refrigerator down there.
That was a fun. I like how you tied that one into the chopper.
Yeah, I mean that's literally like that. That was
the fridge is the oldest thing I own. It's from the early 50s.
Sounds very chopper.
Actually, not early 50s, late 50s. Sorry.
Sounds very chopper of you to have an old.
I've had that fridge since 2014.
Damn.
So
that's a long time. I don't think I have any appliances that long.
They don't last.
They don't last that long. They don't make them like they used
all
to.
The new shit's like disposable. It's like after 3 years, get rid of it.
Yeah, they don't make them like you used to, and you're down there chiseling the build up for your ice.
Dude, the ice box on that thing just gets gnarly. You literally have to defrost the fridge every once in a while. Like just unplug it for a day and
you
let
have to
it
do
just,
that now too with the new one that
you do?
Samsung one or whatever. All that shit builds up on the back. Speaking of refrigerators, it's funny. My ice machine broke, so now it makes too much ice. So like the whole top tray fills up. You got to turn it off.
Damn.
When I have kids that they don't listen, so the shit literally fills up the entire bottom piece with just straight ass ice. Like you're digging through ice to get to like the tater tots and shit. Like
everything's got freezer burn.
Everything's freezer burn.
My refrigerator at the house, the ice maker stopped working, and then thanks to Google, you can Google anything.
Oh, yeah.
And it's apparently a big problem, and it's like to fix it costs like $400 to get a part.
Oh fuck! That.
And so it's just more cheaper, or it's
Google that shit.
It's better to just buy a new fridge. So what we did is we got like a little ice maker, like a little separate one.
Yeah,
and just do that.
An external.
Yeah, just make ice every once in a while, and we don't have kids in the house, so nothing gets consumed fast enough.
Shit, everything in my house goes fast. Including it feels like fresh air goes fast. Like there's because I have 3 kids, and then now we have a dog.
Just sucking the
air.
air.
I'm just like, I walk out in the living room like, God damn, man, like I need some fucking air in here. Like,
I feel like you're hanging out in Denver.
Too many people, yeah. Too many people. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's new year, same shit, different day.
I think it's a different day and it's a different year. With a little bit of the same tone, but just I feel
how would you describe last year for you as far as like momentum versus reality versus expectations?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I had no expectation at all. I never really do because I never want to let myself down.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to make it seem like there's nothing going on, Yeah. With the expectation was just I just wanted to get past we did that tour that was like a high, super high that year. I knew I wasn't going to try for anything that would be that big of a platform, I guess, or timelines and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to get rid of. But, I had a lot of good, crazy opportunities to build bikes for a lot of, people that I never would expect would want to have me even in the room with them, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
The momentum was nonstop, dude. There was it went by so fast because so much was happening. But it was all almost in my brain happening. The physical version was so unreal that the mental version was where I had to be at. So I had to envision myself you're building something for a high end whatever person or eyes are going to be on this thing, and you can't make sense of the reality in front of your eyes. When your eyes are open, you're watching this thing unfold, but it's a mind thing because you have to mentally accept that that's where you might be.
Yeah.
In a weird way, without even wanting to be in this position to do these cool things. Even when we were talking about the tour, I was just I can't even believe I'm on that. What did I do? Or whatever. But yeah, the last year was insane. I met a lot of different people that helped not just my brand, but just me grow as an individual. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's led me to the end of 24 going into 25 is being a different person internally, so that way like what's making sense physically matches. So like that expectation's now starting to like come together like to reality, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And then I think that like right now I've mentally stepped back and now I'm trying to be in the physical, if that makes sense. So like the opposite of kind of where I was in that moment is kind of where I'm at now in the moment. Like I'm less thinking about things. I just kind of let shit go. Like whatever happens, you know. And I'm physically like in the moment trying to enjoy the experience and just kind of like
trying to actually
process
bring it to reality.
Yeah, like be more at terms with the reality, I guess, of just like you're not in control of anything anymore. Like not just the business thing, but just like in life. You know, my kids are getting older, you know, like a lot of different stuff, you know, not motorcycle related or professionally related, like personal stuff, you know, just a lot of personal growth with family and kids getting older and shit. So I think that that's reshaping me in where I decide to spend my time with my business. And kind of the things I work on now and stuff. Or even the people I let work around me has changed just because of me, you know, during my internal stuff.
I mean, think about that for a second. Like, you know, as an individual, every day you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you're working on your skills, your brand, your everything that's important for you to be a business this day, right? And then like the family aspect is like that thing continues to grow and go and evolve, and sometimes like, you know, not to imply anything, but I'm speaking from a personal space on my end, it's like you feel like oh shit, like I didn't realize that already was coming up, or this already happened, or it's already time, or it's already summer. You know,
it happens a lot in like, you know, I have 3 kids, so there's that, and then there's the wife's anniversary, and then there's like her birthday, and then like there's all these dates, and then there's like the dance, and then there's the choir, and then there's the band, and then there's like all these different things like underneath those little trees too. But it's like those are projects too, you know, like so you have to, at least the way I kind of saw it, the way I'm processing things now is kind of like that's a project, that's its own little build, or that's its own customer, or that's its own little client. Like that's how you can kind of treat the business and the household like the same and still be like successful, you know, like still build this thing. Like I'm trying to build a, you know, a strong family foundation and teach my sons some different things now that they're getting older. But like the same applies to like your business. And, you know, like I reach out to people that I want to learn from, and like they're just doing that to me. So it's like, that's how I've kind of meshed those things with it still like not affecting one or the other. You know, because there's a while like when you're in the beginning trying to build stuff where something's going to sacrifice. Yeah. Now I kind of feel like I'm not really willing to sacrifice anything. I just need to give a little bit less to each because this is taking too much over here.
Time.
Yeah, just move the plates a little bit.
You know when the old guys are like on their deathbed and they're like, I wish I would have spent more time doing this and less time working. It's like, it's easy to say in like a past tense. Yeah. But like you might not be where you're at if you didn't have
all that
do
work
those
that
things.
you did.
And you could have been, maybe you were on a street dying there instead of in a hospital surrounded by your loved ones if you didn't work your ass off.
Right. But I feel like that when you're, because of those people that have already said that, when you're doing that, as long as you know you're doing that, then I feel like it's okay. And that's kind of like, you know, that's kind of like what I went through early on, and even still down to this day is like, shit, man, do I want to leave at 4 or 3 so I can be there for my sons and when they come home from school, or like 2 more hours and I can bang this out? It's like, they'll, you know, it's going to be okay. Like,
well, I would say that it's not about how much time, it's about the quality of the time. Right. And that's the same thing with your relationship with your old lady. It's like, if you have to be there just to be there all the time, it's like, you have teenage boys just like I do. Right. And you have a daughter too. Right. So it's like my son comes over, and the quality time we get to spend is to drive over from where I pick him up.
Because he's not on the video game, I'm sure. Right?
Yes. And so like you have to like really be present in these opportunities that he's being present with you as well, as opposed to like what he really wants to do. And
just go run in his room.
Yeah. And that's how I was too when I was a kid, man. I didn't want to fucking do all that. I wanted to go play a video game or go outside and play or do whatever the case was. So it's like, I understand that, but you are trying to like, you know, like I said, it's the quality of time.
Yeah. Versus, and like another thing that I kind of had to realize too is like over this little these breaks that they get, you know, out of school. You know, I think that if I was like a kid and I saw my dad doing what I'm doing now, I think personally, I'd be like, in the moment, maybe be like, man, this is really rad. Like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be up my dad's ass. Or I might be like, fucking, I don't care about this. I think that I might have been the other one, you know, like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah.
But I can't force that like on my kids, because then they're going to like either, I feel like, resent me or the craft or the bikes or anything, or they'll hate it. And so like over winter break, I started bringing my oldest around, and he kind of was like by himself asked. So I was like, okay, cool. And so then the other day on Sunday, I was just at home, you know, normally it'd be a day off. I was like, hey, man, you want to go to the shop today? And he's like, yeah, let's go, dude. What do I need to do to make some money? Because that's kind of like his thing. He's like, he wants the $20 so you can go buy Roblox or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
And so he came in and he helped me disassemble this Evo that I'm going to be building out or whatever. And I kind of made a little personal project that I'm building my own bike down again or whatever. But with him. So like, I was like, hey, do you want to do this with me? This would be like, you know, our little deal. And he's like, yeah, I'm in. I was like, all right, sweet. So, you know, like I said, just being more in the moment, letting things kind of, you're not in control. That's why I kind of always say, just let shit go. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not, fucking don't force the shit, you know? And so I've been real lax, I guess, with a lot of things, just letting it shit go, letting it fall into place. And
dude, I can feel you on that. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm such a controlling individual, and it's not controlling because I need the control. It's because I'm scared of someone fucking it up.
Yeah, you want to manage the outcome.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, it's
because if you fuck up, then it's like you can only be mad at yourself, right?
It's on me. So I want to make sure that I did the shit that I think I need to do to get to that point. But I've even started to let a lot of that shit go too. Like,
yeah.
In you know, not in all situations, obviously, pick and choose your battles, but I just feel it's more fun. Like, I feel like I'm getting back to like having fun again versus like, oh, I gotta go to this event. It's like, no, like, who's gonna go? Because like, I kind of want to hang out with certain people, you know. And if they're gonna go, I'll go. But like, I don't need to force like, oh man, I have a business, I have a shop I should represent, I should be at this place, like living in misery. Like, no, I don't have to do all that shit. Like, I want to have fun and go back to like what it's supposed to be about. Like, oh, every time I feel like every time I sit at this table, I say that same line. It's supposed to be fun. Like, and if you're not having fun, then why are they doing it? You know? Well,
the fun, like, you always have to stay connected to the projects, and they always got to stay fun. They can become monotonous and very, you know, challenging based on like the customer relationships and stuff. Not trying to throw it on customers, but just in general, like you've built a lot of bikes for yourself, and that inspires people to want to have you build a bike. But then once they're building you're building the bike for them, now there's a lot of things that ends up coming into play that are never in play when you're building your bike.
Yeah. Time, money, expectations. All opinions, you know, outside influences on this person. They're hearing this from that guy, or they saw that on the internet. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm extremely thankful of all. Like, this is unreal. Like, I don't know what happens whenever you close your eyes and don't open them ever again. But whatever that is, like, if you get to think about things, this is definitely a moment where I just be like, wow, I'm extremely thankful of this time period of my life, because it's introduced me to so many different people that you would never expect, you know, would have this type of long-term relationship where it could build out to be something, even just us, you know, like when I first met you. But even other people, just even the come and goers, you know, the people that pass through, but they influence you real quick, or they have some type of effect on you. Like, even the places I've been, the opportunities, it's really, I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, staying present with that is very important, because that's basically a gratitude, right? That's like showing appreciation for like all the things that have come into your life and how that's shaping, you know, your life in general, right?
And like, even like appreciating stuff that like normally I would like instantly start hating on. I always try to find, like, nowadays, like, the things I do like about it. Like, even if I hate this pizza, but I'm like, I really like pepperoni, but there's fucking anchovies on it. Like, I can't hate the pizza. I gotta just like the pepperoni. You know, like, I kind of have that mentality now, and I think that that's really made it easy to see kind of maybe some other things that I don't like in the industry or don't like in the scene or whatever.
Yeah.
Where I try to find the little things where I'm like, well, at least they like it, you know, like who am I, you know, like.
I mean, if you really take it back to like before social media, what individuals, when they would build bikes, they weren't trying to please.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you want it to get in a magazine and you want the masses to see it and be, you know, floored by it, but you didn't get real-time feedback from that masses.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
so
like instant.
Yeah.
The Amazon Prime fucking mentality.
Now you build the bike and, you know, in order to stay relevant, you got to kind of throw some progress up there and let the world kind of see what you're doing to create some sort of like anticipation or hype. But when you do all that stuff, like you know, you're also opening the door for criticisms and all these things that never really existed on the mass scale.
Yeah.
In the world of customizing motorcycles.
Right. Because it's like if you've seen something in a magazine back in the day, what are you going to do? You're going to write a letter to this dude's shop and be like, wow, I saw you in page 58, issue 12.
What a hack.
Right. what caliper is that? Like, you're not fucking wasting your time. Now, all people have is time to waste. But like, waste your shit. Like, don't try to waste my time. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I can't stand like a waste of time. Like, those fucking people that just like send you reels all day long and shit.
Yeah.
And
my wife.
Yeah. I mean, my wife will send me some and I think she knows like you get 3, maybe 4 a day and they need to be like impactful, like copy paste, make a list, you know, go through it.
You need to curate your
reels. Yeah, curate your reels and then send them to me. But like the people that just like sit at their desk all day or whatever, and that's all, you know, because they have the time in the world. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, 15 a day gets a little.
Yeah, don't waste your time. Why are you wasting your time?
Yeah,
like, you know, there's plenty more to do out here.
It's like, you know what they could be doing to help us out is they could be commenting on these videos, liking these videos, and helping us like get more traction with our, you know, YouTube stuff.
All kind of stuff.
But I mean, like all that stuff matters.
Make
you know
a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Do something.
I always tell people this. Like, I still do this, and I try to be as mindful as possible. But when you've scrolled through social media real quick, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm kind of bored," and then you start hitting reels. Is there somebody you could probably text just to say, "Hey, how you doing?" Your mom, your dad, your friend lives across country, your kids,
anything.
Like, is there somebody that you could direct that attention towards just to kind of show some that you're thinking about them, right? You know, like every once in a while I'll hit up a dude. I'll be like, hey, just was thinking about you earlier, you know, not trying to be gay. Unless you are.
Make sure you're all right. You good? Yeah, I mean, what are y'all up to? Like, just simple shit.
Just do that. At least take the time to like share a friend or share somebody else's stuff that actually matters to you.
Yeah.
And show them some props. Throw them a shout out. Don't just post the random, you know, the random reel that means nothing, that brings no value to anybody.
I like shit that makes me laugh. Like,
I mean, dude, there's
that's all I care about. It's like when I'm on there, like, you know, just mindlessly scrolling, I just want to laugh my ass off.
And honestly, I've been kind of guilty of that lately. Sometimes me and my wife will lay in bed and we're just like laughing our asses off at certain things.
Yeah.
And I like that exists there. You know,
versus like you getting on there to like look up a certain person maybe you don't like to see what they're doing and like fucking hate on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on, man, you're looking for a fight. Just on the internet, you're not gonna get one. You know, like you ain't gonna get shit. You know.
But that's just a mentality, man. There was always people like that back in the day, too. That were in the, you know, part of the motorcycle industry, or not. They weren't working in it, but they were, you know, good paying customers. And those guys used to bounce around to shop and
they
try to pit people.
They still
try to get people to, oh, I went to their shop and they said this, and then it just kind of creates a it's a little tension between the two businesses.
But it's like they're in their fucking head playing some weird game.
It makes them feel relevant.
Yeah, they play some weird game in their head.
Yeah,
but they try to do it in real life. It doesn't work out.
You know, like I said, I've seen so much of that in my career of doing this stuff, and you kind of you can see it in people. Even if you don't know, I'm kind of profiling is what I'm doing. I'm like, you kind of got that whole shitty
socially
vibe.
Profiling instead of racially profiling.
Yeah, for sure. No, that I mean, like being able to answer the call to the builds is also a testament.
Yeah, that goes back to like what I was saying about the tour. You know, when you asked me to do the tour, I didn't know like what I was going to do. I didn't know shit about anything, like what we were going to do. I think it was like so early on. I don't even think you had like it nailed down. It was kind of like just the idea. But when I did it, it didn't solidify like to anybody because I didn't really give a shit about anybody else. I had a point to prove to myself. But every time like I do, even like simple stuff, believe it or not, because like I have not been doing this for a very long time, and I don't come from a background of people that do this, So everything that I know, I've either taught myself or, by whatever resources I had, or somebody had to teach me.
Yeah.
But when I started doing this, it was baby steps, and then now I'm getting to a point to where it's like, I want to try to do the most craziest shit that I personally think is crazy. I'm not going to try to build a frame right now.
Yeah.
That's way too crazy. But I'm going to try to do as many frame ups that are to a certain standard that I think is okay, right? Like, I understand there's better people, of course, but to my personal standards of where I want to be, it's evolving and been to a point to where like, people call me now they want a bike.
Yeah.
And that moment for me, every time that happens, it's like all over again from day one to where it's like, because I'm still in my mind, I'm a guy, I'm a regular ass dude, just like you, just like anybody else who walks the street. I'm a regular guy.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind every time somebody wants anything from me, motorcycle related, because it's just like, it's still unreal. Like, because I'm very passionate about this. I didn't start doing this shit because I was making money or I wanted to make money. I wanted to do this because I enjoy doing it. Like I really do.
Yeah. What is it about it that like you think really fills the cup the most?
Yeah. So me and Devin were talking about it downstairs. When I first started doing this shit, like it wasn't because I saw a photo of a bike, or it wasn't because like I had a magazine or anything. Like I have a really deep rooted connection with like my mom. Like my mom was my dad, and my mom and my sister and my best friend and everything else, right?
Yeah.
We grew up in Daytona Beach, super like poor, like not like, oh my God, we're not going to eat today poor, but like, oh man, we can eat today, but the power is going to be off tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's no car, and like that kind of poor, And we used to go to Daytona Bike Week all the time, and that's it was free, just fucking put a little tank of gas, hit the fucking beach, get some shrimp, you could post up at Perry's. Like, that's what we did. My mom's Suzuki Sidekick. We were fucking this big. So all we did was I would see it and it would like excite me because we couldn't go to like Disney. We couldn't do any of that shit, So that was like in me, like as a kid. And then like life happens, like that memory kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And then all these other memories have to come up. And then when my mom passed away, I like completely lost, like went off the rails mentally, like heavily drinking, all that bad whatever shit for yourself, right? But I was always at home because I couldn't go to work because like my head was off, right? And then this was around the time that like I was just like stuck at home, I didn't really have anything to do. But my brother, he was like had this idea of like, oh man, I want to get a bike, and so. Because he started watching Sons of Anarchy. Yeah. So then he would send me, bikes that he was looking at and shit, and was like, we didn't know, anything. It was like he bought an Ironhead, or no, the Sportster Iron 883.
Oh yeah.
Not the Ironhead, the Iron 883, whatever. It's like the all matte black.
Yeah.
And so I ended up with a Street 750, the XG 750, all blacked out and had the little mini fairing thing on it or whatever. And we started fucking with it in the garage and like just measly simple stuff, nothing crazy. But there was just like this weird like detachment mentally where like when I was fucking with something, didn't matter what it was. Like, dude, at the same time, I built this fucking fort out of pallets in my backyard. Like that's how mentally like unstable I was, like for my son. Cause I was just like, I need to do something. Cause if not, I'm going to sit here and only think about, losing my mom, it was fucking traumatic for me.
Yeah.
But while I was like working on the bike, like it would do something for me where it's like, it would disconnect my thoughts from like my body. Cause like I have to be thinking about what I'm doing. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I had to like really mentally put myself in the moment. So that feeling, I feel like I kind of identified over the years, like that's a feeling that I chase all the time of like,
Mm-hmm.
a disconnect. Kind of like what you feel when you're riding your bike.
It's kind of like a tunnel vision engagement.
Exactly.
Right? Where everything else in your mind is kind of like there's a
numb.
There's a layer that you're numb to.
Right.
Like it's behind that, and then you're kind of really just trapped in the present.
It's
now.
Honestly therapeutic for me. Like
Yeah.
it is extremely therapeutic for me. Even if I'm not physically working on something, if I'm so stressed out, like I'll sit in the sauna and I'll like close my eyes and mentally be working on something in a weird ass way. Because it's the only thing I feel like how some people, like I said, when they ride, like you're disconnecting, you're in the moment, you have to only be right there or you can die. You know?
Yeah.
I get that same feeling when I ride, but now like I'm working on bikes a whole lot more. So obviously, you know, that feeling. So that's why I do this.
Yeah.
I do it because it does something for me mentally on top of like the dopamine releases of like, you know, accomplishing something and building something cool and creative, and then like people like it and stuff. Like obviously there's that little droplet that it gives you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like the feeling that it gives me makes me feel good. And I love doing it. And then like, you know, and then you dive into like the history of it. It sucks you in. Then you start finding people that, you know, build stuff that draws you to want to do that. Like it unlocks this whole world, you know, and that's kind of what it did for me. This was all by like accident almost in a weird way, you know, like if I didn't meet certain people or if I didn't, you know, have certain whatever, like maybe I wouldn't do, I don't know, but could have been boats for like, you know, like whatever caught me at that moment, you know, it just so happens that it was this. And then it took me back to like, again, the history and then like going to bike week, like that feeling and then like just putting the whole thing together for me. And then now seeing people like the world that like I've created for myself, that is like cool to me because I thought this was crazy. You know, I always thought like I was crazy for doing this shit, you know, but.
Well, there's a testament to like you're connected to doing bikes and you get so much fulfillment out of like, you know, creating something or rebuilding something or making something better or making it right that like you really don't get that in a lot of workplaces.
Yeah.
There's only so many jobs out there where you feel like it like scratches all those itches of different things that I think you need as a human to be connected to the work that you do in life.
Yeah, otherwise you don't get fulfillment. You feel like you're just a vessel going through this world without any impact. You're not actually like, you're not doing any output. Everything you're doing is like an input.
I've always like said it a lot more recently, but I always try to tell people like you might have a shitty job, but if you get off at 4 or 5 every day, man, you have so much time
to do something,
to go do something and to go like apply your off time to things like building bikes or learning how to do certain aspects within it that would give you so much more enjoyment out of life. And you won't have to worry about the aspect of making that how you pay your bills,
right?
Which allows you to enjoy it completely.
And if it turns into that, great. You know, that's cool too. At least, you know, you found something to feel good in life about, you know?
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that. Some people, it's like, hey, I just want to start drawing or crocheting. Just, you know, something to break up the normal day life of like, go to work, go home, eat, shit, sleep, like, you know.
It gets like that, man. But I mean, the same thing happens when, you know, in the sense like, you know, we've been talking ever since we started doing our FXR tour builds and about how we wanted to both learn more fabrication stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, my whole 2024 was just chocked full of plans I'd made in 23 that I needed to see through. So it was like hard to really just dive into, you know, trying all the shit that I wanted to get into. And now that we're in 25, it's like, it's happening, you know, like the welder is getting turned on more.
Right.
I'm looking for small things to try to make and understand what to do and not to do. And the other half is like, I love buying tools.
Yeah.
So there's like that aspect of like,
I do too.
I need this. And you just got to buy another tool. And there's, I don't know, it's a bad habit, but it feels good. You know what I'm saying?
I do the same shit. I look at tools more than I probably look at motorcycle parts, which is like weird. But again, like, I don't know.
I want to
like
lathe so bad right now. And I have no idea. I understand how lathe works. I understand every aspect of it, but
they're useful.
I want, I stay looking on Marketplace just in case a name brand one pops up for sub $1,000.
If you have a couple grand in your pocket,
Yeah, a couple grand, you can get a really nice one. But
that's the one you want. Or some really old one that like from somebody that's been using it forever. They're just kind of maybe like done with it.
Yeah,
that's what we have. So
that's kind of what I want to get, because the lathe would just kind of open up. Thinking about like wanting to build a bike. Like I said, my goal is at some point to be able to build the FXR the way Corey did for me. Right, did all the fabrication work he did, being able to do it in my shop with my own tools, without having to bring someone in to help me, And I'm not there yet. I don't know I don't know that it's something you put some kind of time thing on. It's like, 2 more years, I'll be there.
I don't think it's a time thing. And I don't even think it's an experience thing. I think it's a moment thing. Like, you have to really want it. Yeah. Like for me, I have this really, I don't know, fascination or whatever you want to call it with like Japanese culture. Again, like for my mom would always like watch this Japanese TV thing. And so like my drive from my house to my shop is 15 minutes, and then it's 15 minutes home. So it's 30 minutes a day. And for those 30 minutes a day, I downloaded an app that like I listen to people talk Japanese so that they can teach you Japanese. So like I want to do that though. Like I really want to do that. So like if somebody really wants to like learn something and that's all they do all day long.
Yeah.
It's like it's a want thing. I don't think it's an experience thing, because you can get it right the first time and not have any experience because you might be
want to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. You might be more talented mentally. You've connected the dots or whatever, and sometimes it's not even a tool thing, because you see those dudes in those other countries that are like, welding with a 9-volt battery and a aluminum can, and they're like making an arc with it, and their shit's like dimed up, Yeah. So it's just, I feel like it's a you thing. It's like in you.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the experienced person trying to take on a new skill versus the inexperienced.
Yeah.
It's like when I first picked up paint, there was no expectations on top of it. You're just kind of like, I'm going to chase this because this is fulfilling.
Because what you want to do.
And then it becomes something. And I think as an older like guy, in the sense of like I've already kind of learned a couple skills over my lifetime, you get used to the process of what it feels like to put in time.
Yeah.
And
you're like training.
When you're younger, you don't apply time to the scenario of learning how to do something. When you're older, you realize how much time it took to get to where you felt like you were in a good spot.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all as much of a great thing I think that is. I think it's also a detriment, because it creates an expectation by a certain time.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like, I'm gonna put a year into doing this, and by that time I should be
good to go. Well, that's how like it is in sports. Like you play high school football, then college football, and then your expectation is like you're going to the NFL, you know? But then there's people that go straight from here to there. They skip this whole thing because they have that thing in them. Or you could just keep going every day and show up, and then you'll get there. So it's like everybody's a little bit different, and that's why I like to answer your questions. Like, is it a time thing or is it this thing? It's just you. Like, it's a combination of everything you've ever done and everything you really want to do in that moment, and then it comes out, and then it's either going to be ass or it's not.
Yeah.
And if it's ass, and then you're like, you accept that, you're probably not going to get past ass. But if you fucking keep going, you'll get there. Eventually, everybody, like, I'm not a painter, right?
Yeah.
But I know, like, if I wanted to fucking do it and I sat here, you
figure
figure it out. It's just in you,
Yeah. I think it's also like a little bit of a fear to fail, even though the failure is part of the learning.
Yeah.
Because like I said, going back to young me, 22 years old, learning how to, airbrush and all that shit, like there was so many things that like I fucked up on, but at the same time, my eyes thought it was good.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
maybe you didn't know any better.
I didn't because it was the coolest. Like I didn't know.
As long as you did, as long as the paint stuck, maybe it bubbled, but it stuck. You're like,
well, cool. I was pretty fortunate that I never really had those kind. I grew up with a paint background, so I had the fundamentals down, but it was the application of graphics and, still to this day, I remember one thing that the dude Gary that I kind of started with told me. He's like, what's the saying? It's something like it's been so long since I said it. It's I live by this.
A grower, not a shower.
Yeah. No,
I live by this.
I really do. It's it's like better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So, and that's something in the paint process that you think about so much. Like, I'm ready to start doing this now. Well, if I wait another 10 minutes, I'll be in a better spot that I won't fuck anything up.
Right. And you know for sure.
So a lot of the paint process problems comes from impatience.
Yeah. That's just
more
like
than
mechanicking
anything.
too. Like,
Yeah.
you take a fucking outer primary off and you just go sipping it back on there without chasing the holes and cleaning the fucking bolt threads and putting the Loctite and then torquing everything. Like, yeah, you can get it together, but it's probably going to leak, you know? Or you could do it this fucking right way and probably be better safe than sorry, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But, you know, if it's your shit and you just want to slam it on the side of the road, feel free.
Yeah, that's the problem with like wanting to build for other people is that you're building it for you. When you build it for yourself, you have your process to get it dialed, right? And sometimes that's a couple rides, maybe that's 1,000 miles.
Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't work for them.
You know, but like if you're a mechanic and you have a shop, then you know the torque specs and all those things that come into play are more. I mean, just as much as it is about like keeping it on, but it's also eliminating that shakedown that we kind of do just naturally
on our own. Yeah, I mean, shit. When I had built my first frame up, my RD, I mean, there was a year into it, I'm still kind of fucking with shit, you know, just because shit goes wrong even a year later, you know, it just depends, you know, it's old shit.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, somebody who lives halfway across the country, you have to build them a bike. You've never met this person. You don't even know how they ride or anything.
The competence of like.
You have no clue of what they can do. You just know you have to do your job. And yeah.
That's what I always thought was like strange. I think we were talking about it recently. I think we were talking about in the last podcast with Haney and them of how one day I was at Yaniv's shop and this guy was in there and Yaniv was like building him this like panhead or it was either a panhead or a shovel, but it was definitely like a generator version, like not a cone shovel or anything. Yeah. And this guy did not look like he knew two things about a motorcycle, but he's about to have something that I think for you to own that, you really need to know how to like.
Yeah, you were talking about that. You were like,
it's a fine line.
This is not a just jump on and go. Like you're gonna have to know there's a firing sequence.
Yeah.
This is you need to be able to troubleshoot this bike. This is not just a turn.
I just went through that. Somebody wanted to rent my FXR tour bike, the chopper.
Yeah.
For a movie, and they were gonna have it like be ridden, and they just wanted to pick the bike up and like they were gonna transport it. And I was like, no. Like,
yeah,
I trust that you can transport it, but if you don't know how like to hot idle this thing, or if you don't know where the sequence of how to fire it, like you're gonna fuck my shit up. So
yeah,
you have to pay me to go with it. Like, this is not a YouTube video type situation, and I'm not FaceTiming your ass neither. Like, no, I'm going. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to your point of what you were saying is like, there's a line. You know, like there's a fine line between you have a business to run. So like, hey, if somebody's sitting here waving that shit in your face like this for that panhead or that shovel or whatever, and you're built, he's like, I want to kick only, and this dude 20 minutes later tells you he just had knee surgery.
Yeah.
And you know, he's 55 years old. Man, I don't know, dude. Like, it's as long as they're cool with it, and you tell them like, hey, dude, but you got to make money and you still got to keep building. It's like, I get it.
Yeah, I've always felt like a lot of the job in being on this side of a table in the motorcycle industry is a lot of managing expectations.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. At 100%. If you are expecting as a customer to get your shit back next week and you just dropped it off today.
Yeah.
Shame on me for not telling you it's going to be another week, you know?
Yeah, those are always kind of a weird ones, man. I
like them because they make me show up for work like a little earlier, you know?
I
don't sleep in as much. You're like, fuck, I know I got to go. Like, damn.
Yeah. It just gets it's different. Like I get those every once in a while, like, you know, because I have a copy paste sheet that I send out to somebody interested in a helmet, and it answers every question.
That's good.
And when it does, it's like it sounds harsh, you know, but it's just like a blunt, like one thing I always say, unless it's like all all timelines are estimates, not guarantees, unless stated, I need this by this time. And I say, agree to it.
Yeah. If I say okay, then it's on me.
Yeah.
If not, I didn't know you were going to a ride next week. You didn't say shit to me. Dude.
Yeah. I don't, and that's why like I do so many different things with the helmet process is in order to alleviate the stress on my end, because being creative while you're stressed the fuck out aren't the same thing. Does not work at all. You know, it might work for making music or painting a painting about your feelings.
Yeah,
but
trying do something to be a psychopath, sure. But I'm trying to fucking be level headed over here and not lose my shit.
And you know, it's like I know that you're the same way, but when you're in a project, like you're just so invested and you're so connected to it that like when things get weird between the customer or you know the owner or whatever, it makes it to where you're very uncomfortable, and it makes you question a lot of different things about the relationship that you have with the person. That's what I was going to say
earlier. So when we were just talking about like that fine line of like, you know, hey, I just had knee surgery, but I'm gonna build you a kick-only bike. Okay, nope, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing I won't do is I won't work with fucking shithead, like just people that don't even respect themselves. Like I won't do it.
Yeah.
I'll change your oil and get your shit and go. Like, but I'm not going to sit here and dedicate 6 to 8 months of my life and be talking to you 4 times a week.
Yeah, be married to you.
Yeah, be married to you, and you're just you're abusive. You know, like I'm leaving this relationship early. Like,
people don't understand that, man.
See you later. No, fuck all that. That's the only thing I won't do. Is like that.
Well, what do you think? Like, I feel like as the world continues to operate and go, having this is kind of a nihilistic perspective, but maybe one for a conversation. The state of customizing as to way like your FXR was done, or even the ones that you currently build for people, do you not feel like that might be a thing of the past in 5 years? Like where the people that are wanting to know how to do that kind of stuff are going to be.
It depends. Yeah. And so ultimately, like we're here to provide a service. That's how I kind of see myself. Even if it's a bike build, tire change, doesn't matter. I'm providing a service, right? And you're my client. If you are a client who wants to have a bike a certain way because you've seen it somewhere else, but you might want my flair to it, that's what you're going to get. If you're a client who wants something that like, and they'll tell them, like I have kind of like that sheet you have. I have a little rundown that I run them by, like, hey, these certain questions, like, hey, like, are you looking for something like to look good when you're going down the road with your buddies, or are you looking for something that like you want to put in your fucking garage and just stare at it next to your road glide that you ride more often, or do you want something that you're going to be able to wheelie and fucking act a fool on? Like, what do you want? And you give them that without it caring about, because you know what that is. You know, like I can only compare it to what I'm about to go get a tattoo, right? So it's like there's a difference between the flash on the wall of a walk-in customer, which you can still be a tattoo artist and do those, or somebody who like you sat and explained like, hey man, I want this mural because of this and that, and you work with them.
Yeah. And then they create something.
Yeah. As the artist, you can give both things without worrying about, hey, in 5 years, you just know that in 5 years that bike better be together. That's how I tell myself. So it's like, if this is a style that somebody's like a flash in the pan style of a bike that they want, I'm okay with it as long as it's still together in 5 years. If it's still on the road in 5 years, as long as it's running, riding, and it looks just like it did, you know, great. I'm going to still do my best ability to make sure that I do timeless things on it. Like my very first bike that I ever built for a customer was an FXR. I just posted it the other day because it was in for an oil change. And I was like, nothing's fucking changed on this thing. But it looks old. You know, it's this blue and yellow flamed one. It's got all this live to ride shit. It's got like all period correct old stuff, you know? In 5 years, will that be cool? I don't know. It was cool 5 years ago. It's cool right now. It was cool probably fucking 25 years ago, that style. I don't know. All I know is like, I want it to be together. I don't want anybody to really change much. It's kind of my goal. And if I do that and it stays like that, then that means that like I hit the nail on the head for them. So they're happy. Like they're good. I'm happy with what I've put out, but they're happy with what I gave them because they're not willing to fuck with it.
Yeah.
To this day, I've only had one person change one major thing, and all I did was they added a fairing. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like they like what I gave them, you know, versus like oh, well, I'm going to change all this. And it's a totally different bike.
Yeah.
You know, there's that. But then, you know, there's also the side of my creative business, whatever you want to call it, where like I put shit together just like in the moment of the style because it's going to go right now. You know, a giveaway bike or whatever it might be, a quick sale bike. Like, oh man, I'm going to the FXR jam. I'm really looking for this. I just want an RT, all original. Okay, here you go. Like, those are cool too. Like, in 5 years, if they're going to be happy, I don't know. Shit. In 5 years, if that bike's going to be cool, I don't know.
Yeah.
As long as they're happy right now and I'm happy doing it, perfect. Let's go.
What do you think the state of that whole world is? I saw your post recently about like, whether or not like is it still Raffles or is it like,
dude? It's so okay.
Because there seems like
this has been weighing on me, and I try not to let things weigh on me. But it's a conversation that every time I get around my fucking buddies, they bring up. They're like, "Hey, bro, why aren't you doing it like so and so? Hey, bro, I seen so and so did this many tickets. You should do, man. You make a fucking killing. Duh, of course I can make a killing. I can make a killing doing a lot of stuff. But does it mean like it's the way to do it? Does it mean it's the way that people want it? Is it what you're for? Like, I don't know. So the question was, I don't know when you're going to air this, but the question is, and I'll ask you, maybe your opinion. You can do, 100 spots, $100. So you know you're in the list. You know what to buy in. You know how many tickets. You know your odds. Or you could do, hey, buy my hat, and it's 10 times entries. There's no list. There's no fucking video. There's a video of the guy going, all right, I got the winner on the phone. Oh, yeah, okay, he's taking this bike. You never see shit, which is weird. And then there's the other one, this new one, which is we're going live on this day, and we're selling these 25-cent tickets for 1,000 of them or 2 for $1 or whatever crazy combo they come up with. And then you show the tickets, and it's like fucking from here to New Zealand and back.
Yeah.
And you don't see it, or it's just weird. I was always like, when I first started doing it 6 years ago, I saw it to be like, if you're not being like straight up, it's gambling, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like gambling. It's like a casino. You need to know your odds. You're not playing roulette, and then all of a sudden they bust out another wheel on you, and they're like, dude, actually there's 2 balls. Like, no, the game is this game,
Yeah.
But I started seeing like everybody's starting to go that way, and I don't know if the crowd is going that way, and that's what they've demanded or they requested, or if it's just like people are trying to be creative and get away from this to make more. I don't know. In my opinion, I only play the ones where it's like, there's so many spots, this is the spot. Until we sell out, that's it. And I'm going live, and here's a list, and pick the winner. Like, fuck, that's it. How much more? Oh, today only has 10 times entries, and tomorrow it's 100. Like, what the fuck is all that? Like,
yeah, that's kind of strange with the the almost like unlimited entries. You would think that they would need to,
it's wild.
well, I guess not to throw any shade at it.
No, I'm not throwing any shade. I'm genuinely curious what happened.
What was the guy's name that Moose won the bike from? The I guess he runs the FXR Bazaar. Dyna Dealer.
Kyle.
Is that what it is?
His name's Kyle. His
Yeah.
personal name's Kyle. But he's been public to say his name and say he runs Dyna Dealer or whatever.
But he apparently from what I heard, he made a shit ton of money doing the deal. But
I mean, you can do the simple math and say, here's how many tickets at minimum, here's how many tickets at maximum. You can put a range on it, and it's a pretty wild range.
But my understanding is also like he had like a full blown production company.
Yeah,
I mean, he does more.
He's
absolutely.
Spiced up and
time's worth money, effort's worth money. Absolutely, I get all that. Like, I'm not hating on the dude. I personally know the guy. I built a bike and sold one to one of his best friends and delivered it to him in California earlier this year. Met the dude in person finally after we've talked for years. Kyle's solid.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm saying
just genuinely
that's an
curious.
option.
Yeah.
That's like seems like a way of doing it.
Yeah.
And
the ones that don't make sense to me though, dude, are like, okay, like I have this glass. Yesterday this glass was $20. Today this glass is still $20. But if you buy this glass for $20, you can win a $20,000 bike. Where's that $20,000 coming from? If you're still selling the cup for $20, there's no video of you going live. It's just you saying, "Oh, I got the winner on the phone," and then the bike fucking disappears. Like that's the weird shit. I'm not hating on it. It's just weird.
It reminds me of those old, like, remember those radio station like car wins?
Oh yeah.
and like I don't know if you remember this,
Call
but
in and they fucking,
well, they do that, but then like and they used to do this shit all the time. My mom actually
with the key.
The key.
Yeah, it's marketing.
And it's like no one ever got the key. No one ever saw anybody actually win the car in the middle of the mall.
Yeah, but you went in there with your fucking key and you got the little fucking timeshare spin around. You're waiting for your Disney tickets, but it's fucking 6 hours of banana boat video, you know, like fuck. That's what my post was about earlier. It wasn't throwing shade, wasn't, you know.
Just a question to
it
the
was just a
public.
question because, you know, I do them, but I've been doing them like this for so long. You don't see that anymore. And then you see these other ones, you're like, do I need to pivot? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but it's like $100 seems like a very fair
standard
amount of money
Yeah.
for anybody in the motorcycle world.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
if
it's
you
standard.
if you were to do it at $20 a ticket, then you're essentially
Way-
quadrupling the amount of numbers that you need to
Tickets,
sell.
right.
So your odds are going out of the, you know.
I personally, like I said, I'd like, you know, $100 is pretty standard buy-in. It's what I've always seen from like the very, very beginning. Even back in like the Easy Rider magazines, that's what they fucking had. It's this many tickets, and that's it. You know, here's the list.
Yeah.
Done.
So it's ultimately super transparent in every aspect.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know
if
what
you want to do $1 a ticket and 10,000 tickets, I don't give a shit about that. But like, it just gets a little weird sometimes when you see stuff.
No, I get you. You know what? I'm not hating either. The brands. It's like for every dollar of merch you buy.
Yeah, and then you
that
see the merch.
counts,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
there's like, so there's that, right? But then there's like the $120 cup. I understand because now you're generating the actual you know, whatever. But if it's just the cup, like, where's the money coming from for this bike? And then the bike just goes away. Like I said, it's a little weird for me.
Yeah, this seems like it's and I wonder about this because it seems like because of the way the socials are, is it marketing, not schemes, but plans?
Yeah.
They have a shorter shelf life now, it seems like. Like whatever was working a year ago in some aspects, like you have to tweak it.
Yeah. And that's why I was asking that. I mean, ultimately, I'll never, like I've always said, I'll never change the way I do my shit. It's just, it works for me. It works for the people that are involved. It's been working.
Well, it's like you know, Lexin did that a couple of years ago. I don't know if y'all remember that, where they had bought a bike from Tommy, like an ST or lowrider, and it was like a giveaway for every time you bought something, you were entered to win on the thing. But it's like, damn, how many tickets did you have to sell? And I'm not saying, I'm just wondering, just the same way you are.
Just genuinely curious.
It's like
in that.
But it's a great way to like drive traffic to your website, which
I understand that. So
might
like
actually turn into them
more
buying
revenue
other shit.
on your actual, so like people that do that, like I've thought about it, but it just, the math ain't mathing sometimes. And I'm like,
yeah.
Where's this 30,000 for this bike coming from if you're still selling the cup for $20? You know,
yeah, that's a question.
are you willing to give up all your profit just to sell the cup? Like, I don't know.
Do you think
I kind of stopped doing them?
Do you think that there's a, you know, for the people that are kind of, I don't know, this might be a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. For the younger generation, do you think that that's going to be the only way they'll look at buying custom motorcycles that are finished because of whether they can afford it or not? It's
right now, people are just tight.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Because there's nothing to be tight about. Like, your job hadn't changed. You know, you still make the same amount of money. Your shit still costs the same. To an extent, things have got a little expensive. But if you have a bike, I mean, you're still spending the money to do whatever you want, you know. You're still going to go out to eat. You're not going to not go eat, you know. I don't think that that's the only way. I think that it's the most fun way for people that are into motorcycles. Because the people, you know, mentally, if you're into bikes like this, you probably have a very similar personality to the next person who rides. You're probably sporadic. You're probably somewhat of a little psychopath. Like, you chase after that adrenaline, like that high, you know? And that's what this does for those people too. It's like gambling's a high, you know? So I don't think it's the only way that they'll get into it, but I think it's a way for those people to satisfy that with also, you get a fucking badass bike sometimes.
Yeah, so I think that what I'm getting at is that makes sense as a way to win something, but also that process of having something built and that excitement that's now gone because, you know, you won it essentially.
Yeah, the only people that do that, so like, you know, if you can afford it, you're going to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
most people can afford to do a little bit at a time. You know, they can't.
But that's how bike building is
That's
essentially.
exactly how it's supposed to be. I mean, for the average working person, that's how it is. You know, you get
The
your
only
bars
time
this
that
week.
you ever have to drop $40,000 is at the end if you're buying it from somebody that's already
Right.
built it.
Right.
But if you go through the process, it's really not that much different than you buying the bike and doing all the shit. Like
For $1 a day.
you can also have a
if you
speed
put it
dealer swing
away.
arm,
Yeah,
you know?
if you put it away for $1 a day.
So it's like the process. I think that's what scares people, and it goes back to my list and my details of my helmets. It's shock and awe because you're looking at it like you're reading it. It's the same way you would read the menu at Steak and Shake or whatever, right? So it's like, oh shit, that's a lot. But then it's like there's no hidden fees. There's no like, oh well, you decided to do this and now it's this much more. It's like this is the cost.
Yeah.
And
if you got to save up for it, great. You know.
Yeah, it's like honestly, this is what you got to put down, and in 6 months when we can get it done, this is what you have to pay.
Right.
So
that's kind of what I do now.
Yeah,
like you pay this up front, and then when it's done, you got this, and then we're done.
Yeah, I've always said you need an incentive for the builder to finish the bike.
Yeah,
or the helmet or anything.
If I don't finish it, I don't get paid. So I'm going to finish it.
Yeah,
and I'm going to get paid.
And so, you know, like.
You're probably the first painter I've ever heard say that, because every one of them, every bad dealing I've ever had anybody do with a painter was, man, I paid him up front.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's like paying a crackhead to say like, oh yeah, go ahead and cut my yard, but I'm going to pay you first. Yeah. Good luck with that. See how that works out for you.
The paying up front, it's kind of like if somebody that wants it up front, typically they're in that whole robbing Peter to pay Paul situation.
They got it right now.
They need that to cover something else right now, and they're hoping for another one to come in to cover the next one.
Yeah.
When you get to a point where you know and you understand the process, you want to make sure that there's a paycheck at the end of the job.
Yep.
There's a paycheck at the beginning of the job to do the job.
To buy the parts, like for me, you know.
Yeah.
I learned early on I'm not gonna get stuck with your shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's happened, and I'm like.
But see, there's also a way you could do that, right?
Again.
Like, say you're building a bike. It's an all out everything, right? Well, okay, first off, they got to be realistic with their timeline. You know, if you don't have the money to build a bike in 6 months, then it's not going to be done in 6 months.
Right.
But if you can get the money together for the front end,
right,
we can go ahead and get that done, figured out, and then
I have one of those.
Figure out the process, and like that way, when you get money, you can kind of fill it in and can keep the flow of work moving on it here and there,
one bite at a time.
And
at the very end, you're like, oh, now here we are,
exactly,
just ready for paint.
Yeah,
done deal.
Then the other 50% goes down.
Yeah.
But no, it's I don't know. I always wonder, about that. It's like I ask these kind of questions to myself, like, not to be pessimistic about it, but there's so much information you get from the world and it changes so quickly now. How much is going to change about the way we customize motorcycles or the state of it, how much is going to change, just in general, like we've obviously seen a big tick of a lot of people, finding something within the FXR world that's like appealing to them.
Yeah, it's cool. It's different because wasn't the thing, like, I guess very recent. It was kind of like not the thing, I guess. Like, I mean, if you were into it, you're into it. But, there was other bikes that were more popular or more different platform that was more popular. It is interesting, though, to see how people are treating it, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that it's like some magical dragon or some fucking genie in a bottle, right? At the end of the day, it's just a motorcycle. But it's the actions of people around it that they make it seem like it's this genie in a bottle. Like, as if they rub this thing the right way, it's gonna do something like fucking magical for them.
Yeah.
When ultimately, I mean, I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know if I should say it, but basically they're searching for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing because the thing that they were doing wasn't working. So they have to find something new to do.
Well, there's no money in FXRs.
There's zero money in it. I mean, honestly, I make a living, but it's not like I am on a beach house every fucking weekend.
Every brand that makes FXR parts, they're not like trying to get FXR parts in the market for people to see.
No.
It's like It costs money to have it.
It's probably the stupidest thing as a shop that I could focus on, honestly. Like, I should probably be more focused on like new bikes, since that's like, you know, what majority of people ride. I just personally, I like what I like, and if you like it too, great.
Well, I think that maybe as a just like spitballing here, it's kind of like I've seen it happen a couple times. You know, the FXR will get super popular, and it's always during like a period of boredom that people that are really, you know, I would say this, that most of the individuals are inherently all about motorcycles. I love bikes. I love Harleys. I love all this. And I'm just not really, I'm kind of bored, but this looks interesting and fun. Yeah. Right. And they jump into it. But it can be cumbersome, or a lot, depending on where you're at, you know, mechanically, like being able to wrench on your shit. And not saying that FXRs are just some like pieces of shit turds.
They're not. But
they can easily become like that depending on where you get yours from. You know, like I never really had. I mean, I never had any issues with my FXRs once I dialed them in.
Yeah, but it takes, depending on what you currently ride and what you've ridden before, will dictate how you look at that machine.
Exactly.
If that is like the first big bike you've had and you've never really owned anything nice, fucking bee's knees. Yeah. Right. It cranks.
You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, that hog cranks every time, dude. Like, it's gonna run, might run like shit, might leak, no problem. But you can probably fix it. You know, your new shit, one little fuse goes out and your whole bike's fucked. Yeah. You know, like, you can't do shit and you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, it is interesting to see like I said, the way people are treating it, like, as if it's this magical genie that's gonna change their world forever. And it's like, it's just a motorcycle. Just have fun. Like, enjoy the shit with your friends. Like, you know?
Yeah.
That's all it's supposed to, like, ride with your friends, build shit with your friends. Like, even if you don't have friends, do it for yourself, but like, have fun doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Don't try to be like forcing this image because you think it's what people expect you to be. Be yourself. Like, you know?
Yeah, I think the FXR thing is becoming, there's two things you see a lot more since the first FXR tour, and that's M8 FXRs and chopper FXRs.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's definitely, I can't tell you how many people that I've seen with frames being built right now are done that I'm super stoked to see. Not even, none of what I'm saying is about throwing shade. I'm just saying.
But it's because that thing I said earlier, it depends on what you currently ride and what you've ridden before. Let's just say I'm a guy who rides a bike. Right, I ride a big fucking motor, whatever, M8, SNS, big board, whatever, blah, 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 right? You name it, Thunder Max, I got all this. That's what you're used to.
Yeah.
So when you dive into this world and you know that it's capable of meshing those two worlds together, by default, you're probably going to do that. Mm-hmm. You're going to go to what you know, which is that M8 shit, which is cool. They're fucking gnarly. Like, it's insane. I don't personally think that I would want one because of like, I'm not a fan of it. The way it looks in that frame, I don't know why. I'm just like a more classic kind of person. Mm-hmm. I feel like even an Evo is like, you're pushing it. You know what I mean? Like, twin cam, get out of here. It looks weird to me. Like, no offense. Yours is cool.
Shots fired.
No. Yours is cool because of the whole bike, right? But if you took a stock frame and you put a twin cam in it, the frame and the way that the rocker boxes sit, like that castle look, there's these like squared edges and there's no squareness on that bike, like the frame. This is just me.
Yeah.
Fuck me, right? I'm just saying. Your bike is super sweet because you didn't have like stock rocker boxes.
I just want to let you know, Joe Kidd is grinding his teeth right now while you're speaking.
Perfect. But that's just my opinion, right? But you didn't do like the normal rocker boxes, and then you opened up that whole frame. A shovel head in an FXR frame, oh my God. I don't know why. I just love that. I love the rocker boxes, the way they look. Evo, cool too. But then like that M8 thing, it's like to me, the M8 rocker boxes look like somebody tried to mold a fucking twin cam rocker box. Because they try to like bevel that out and make it smooth and like sexy. I don't think they look good in that frame.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. Like,
you get what I'm saying?
You're talking about like the rounded, the rounded heads of it.
It was such a long-winded way of explaining it. They just don't. The lines and all the flow of it doesn't hit. You know.
I think for me, it's basically like a always say I have a wanderlust for experience.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that wants to experience what it's like to own every bells and whistles M8 version in an FXR, like for instance, one of Corey's bikes.
Yeah, those are really so.
But there's also a part of me that like seeing just a ripper with a fucking like a
high and tight
fucking fairing up there in the top, like that the whole Ventura style.
So that's what I was saying. Like, it's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's like you shouldn't fucking do them. Oh my God, they're disgusting. I'm hating on them. I personally just
you're drawn to a certain style. Right?
That's it.
It's just not your vibe.
Just not my vibe. I don't like McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like I like Wendy's. Just my thing. Not saying it's bad. I just don't like it. That's it.
We get it. You fuck with Whataburger. Got it.
I do fuck with Whataburger, but ever since they stopped warming their buns, dude, they fucked up. Have you had Whataburger recently? They stopped warming their buns. Literally, the shit is fucking cold.
What the fuck?
Every time. I promise you, go eat Whataburger right now. The shit's cold.
Fuck.
Especially if you get like onions and shit, because their onions are cold, so like they're adding cold to it.
It's not a consistent warmth. It's just like cold, hot.
Yeah.
It's like when I hate when they put like hot chicken in a cold salad.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I like it.
Your mouth doesn't know what to do with it.
It's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't know what to do with it. No.
What's this world coming to where Whataburger's not warming the buns? Like,
But
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's what we're all drawn to. You know what I mean?
But
like,
it's cool because you get to see people in their own lane being creative, which, you can say maybe you don't like it, but you can still draw some type of motivation from it, which is kind of, maybe it sparks you to start thinking outside of the box, maybe, which is cool.
What I like about both, mainly the M8 and the chopper stuff, is because both of them, you can't buy them. You can't find them. I mean, you could probably find a way.
Yeah, you could pay for it.
You could pay for it, but like, it's not like you don't walk into a dealership and fill out an application for it, right?
Yeah, somebody's going to have to create it.
There's an aspect of very limited stuff. Like it's going to be a long time before there's 1,500 M8 FXRs in existence.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to the 1,500 El Diablos that are running around.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be this rarity towards it. As the same way that when you see a version of an M8, I mean not an M8, but a FXR chopper, there's always going to be a version of it. Hell, even when you see a really dialed club style, fucking Ventura style FXR that's just everything's done right, like those are rare.
Yeah.
Because 90% of the FXRs you see running on the street are, like, oh man, I got it running, it's fucking dialed, and that's cool too.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying, like, at the end of the day, just have fun.
Yeah.
Like, who am I to say anything's wrong or bad? The only thing I can say is I personally just don't like the way something might look or whatever. But I'm not going to hate on you and be like, oh, well, fuck, man, fuck that M8 shit. Like, why would I do that? That makes no sense for me, But to each their own. If you want to put an M8 in your shit, I'll do one. I don't care. But I always said if I do one personally, I want to do that SNS one, the MK136, only because I love fucking SNS crate motors. And then I'll probably just like get rid of it,
Yeah.
But yeah.
What I'm really trying to do, I think that the underlying thing with like this chopper, for instance, is to build a bike that I don't have a lot of money in.
That's what I'm doing right now. Honestly, it's because it's a use what I have or make what I can. And then that way, for two reasons. Nobody want to buy it, because my last bike I built for myself, it sold like literally the first time I rode it. I took it to a show and fucking somebody bought it. Now I don't have a bike. I just have my chopper, which it's cool and shit, but I'm not going to fucking ride to Sturgis. I mean, I could, but for what? Like, it's no point.
You're going to have to get a fucking hip replacement.
Dude, not even that. Like, I'm going to have somebody in a truck with fucking gas. I mean, you know that story, so...
Yeah, auxiliary tank strapped to your back.
I don't want to do that. But yeah, I'm building myself just it's a frame up. It's got some cool shit, but I don't want anybody to want to try to buy it. So if you hear this and you see the bike, leave it alone. It's the pink set. Just leave me alone about it. I'm not selling it. I'm not doing anything. I want to have it forever. No, I'm going to use like the shit that I have. Some tins that I've had, a frame that I had, tranny, motor, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. That's kind of where I want to get at. Like, I'm excited, that after we get done with this, we're going to head to the swap meet to load up or put stuff there. There's this part of me that wants that skill, which is currently what I'm learning through working with Corey again, is how to go to the swap meet, find something, and then go repurpose it for this build.
Like he says, massage it.
Yeah, just kind of make it mine in a way. Yeah. And, you know, I've never built a bike that had less than like 15 grand. I've had a couple of Dynas where I had a lot of takeoffs from other builds that were worth a lot more money that I parted out and kept a few things.
Right.
But like, I want to be able to do that. I want to know that, okay, you know, say for instance, this hardtail that we're doing right now, that I could find a good deal on an Evo softail or a shovel head or whatever. But, oh, that's a good set of setup. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna get that in hardtail real quick, because I know a hardtail, everything normal, throw a little Frisco tank on it, bam, now it's a fucking $10,000 bike for somebody. You know what I mean? And I paid $2,500 for it. So
yeah, I mean, you can
that's FXRs.
That. I mean, if you want to do that now, have a softail frame in the van if you want it. I saw some shit downstairs I want.
But that's kind of the want.
Yeah.
You know, and to be able to, you know, some things you're gonna buy, you know, but I don't know, like I said, the more things that you can get to the point where you don't have to rely on the catalog to do it is kind of where I want to be. But here's the caveat, or here's the other part of it, is that I think that you and I both know that we have a great knowledge base of what kind of parts are available.
Yeah.
So you can build a bike to a degree through what's available in the market.
And it still look.
And then you add a little bit of this next layer of like, okay, now we can kind of, you know.
Yeah, it'll still look good enough for you to then come back over it and do your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million ways to skin a cat, like they always say, whatever it is. And it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just like right now, the bike I want to do, I just want to ride this thing. That's all I want to do. I'm tired of my fucking friends having bikes and I can't even go do certain shit unless I borrow somebody's bike, you know, like I just want to be able to ride it. So I don't really care if it has all the key components that I'm promoting or if it doesn't have this or that. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I just want a bike that I can ride this year. It's going to look good, you know, whatever. It'll have cool stuff, but it's not like a showpiece. It's not this meticulous, all these little detailed, like I need to just ride a bike.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. That's all I want right now.
You need a ripper. That's all you need.
I just need a little ripper. You know, I'll build somebody with their detailed, meticulous stuff, and that's how I can get that out of my head. But for right now, I just want to ride.
Yeah.
You know, I'm finally off probation. So there we are with that. I can talk about it. I'm finally off probation. I'm off everything. Got my license back. I'm good to go. So I can go anywhere. I can do anything.
Welcome back to adulthood.
I know, dude. So that's why I haven't been able to do a lot of shit. You know, not having a license, not being able to legally ride, blah, 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 blah. It's all over. So, this year I want to do a lot of shit just on the bike. Like, and I don't mean like the big rally stuff. I mean, like we were talking about like the Diablo run. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. With your friends, go ride your bike. Maybe go camp for a little bit somewhere random. Like,
hey, every year I do that camp that me and you went on every year, right around the beginning of April. I do that. Dude, Nitty Gritty's going to be the shit this year.
Yep. I already got my shit booked for that. I'm good to go there. I can't wait. It was fucking killer last year. It's going to be even better this year because I've told a lot more people that like I kind of hang out with to come. So I'll have all my good friends with me. And
probably got to get with you because we're going to be doing that whole performance. I don't know what you would call it yet. It was Devin's idea. I'm just running with it.
Shit. We gotta sit down and figure something out.
We need to brainstorm this one. But finding a way to, and basically what we pitched to Steve and Eric was like, hey, you know how Born Free and San Diego Customs? Let us come and do that for this. Yeah. Because it's such a great event, you know?
The venue's
sick.
Insane.
Yeah.
The times are insane. The best memory.
Best camping weather in
Best
Texas.
camping. And the best memory, too, was a picture that takes me back to the time when we were walking to go watch the secret show, whatever. And we're like, you can hear and you can see the people, and you're like, where the fuck are we? And you're like in the middle of the woods, and then they come playing in the treehouse.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, this is sick. I just remember looking up like, fuck, this is tight. Yeah, that was good. And then sit on that porch and shit.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I haven't made, the only thing I'm trying to stick with is El Diablo. And I'm like, I've said that Born Free is like a every year thing for me. Yeah. And I'm still about 80% on like that this year, but I don't know if there's really any, I mean.
I didn't go last year. I was in California at the same time, in the same city, bringing a bike to a customer. And I had tickets, and I sold them on the way there because I was like, I'm just going to go to fucking Universal Studios with my kids and shit.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. But this year, I'm not probably going to go to Born Free unless I ride there.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my thing with like let's say the chopper doesn't get done for El Diablo and I ride the FXR to El Diablo, then I'll for sure ride the chopper to Born Free because it'll be whatever I didn't finish the bike for, it'll be done for that.
Yeah.
The goal for Sturgis currently is we're going to do the LS swap in the van. And so the goal is to have the van completely dialed.
Oh, to go up there with it.
To throw the chopper in the back, and then me and Britt are going to drive the van to Sturgis, go bop around for 3 days, and then go do like a Yellowstone kind of trip where we can take the bike out and go cruise it a little bit.
And put it back.
Go camp and all that stuff. So fortunately, Britt is paying for almost all of the van stuff. It's kind of, it's like I traded that FXR. I sold that A-Painter FXR, which of all the ones I sold, I missed that one.
Classic.
It was just a fucking vibe.
It was a classic.
But sold that one, took the money, bought the van with that. But then I just kind of gave it to Britta. It's like, hey, put it in your name.
Yeah.
It's kind of yours.
If it makes you feel any better, the guy that has it really likes the bike.
He does?
Yeah, he digs it. So at least it didn't just go to somebody that's just
and that's
clapping out and doesn't care about it.
5 years, the motherfucker looks like that.
Yeah.
That means you did a good job.
Well, so what's funny about that, ironically, one of my good friends lives in Amarillo and is good buddies with that guy.
Oh, nice.
So literally when he sold it, the guy that bought it, Jace had no idea that I knew this guy through acquaintances. He didn't know that I knew Jace. So like last time I went to Amarillo, we're all hanging out around a campfire and he's like, oh yeah, I bought this from Jace. I was like, oh yeah. Oh, you're the dude that Chris sent me the picture to. Yeah. So then he's like having a big old conversation about it. I'm like, yeah, man, like that was actually a pretty cool bike. I actually took some shots. So I was showing him like the pictures I had taken a bike and he's like, oh shit, yeah, that is my bike.
That's tight.
Yeah, I'd like that. But that's like every once in a while you see one of those kind of FXRs pop across your list. And you're like, man, I kind of want to buy it and leave it alone. But it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
you get on it and you're like,
I got those mid controls from you, and that was way more comfortable to ride with mid controls. But it did have a different vibe riding with Fords that I didn't like. But it felt different with like tall. It had tall apes.
With apes and forwards, you're a kite in the wind. With mids and apes, you got the knees in the breeze. So you're a little bit different. When you got that like kite fucking feeling, that's like you're like chopper shit. Choppers.
I just remember when you would ride it, you were like, yeah, man, it's like a totally different vibe. Like you're not going fast. Like I'm not in a hurry. We're just getting it. We're just doing it.
Yeah.
I will say
get there, but you'll feel better.
Go ahead.
I think that for a lot of people that like jump into, you don't ride every bike the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every bike has got a different like way to enjoy its existence. Not saying that you can't ride every bike a little faster or go have a little fun here and there, but in my opinion, like the shovelhead chopper that I'm building is going to have a 4-speed ratchet top. Like at best, it's going to be 70 something miles an hour down the highway. At best,
fun enough.
But it's like that.
But when you're riding it, you're going to feel like you're going 110. And you're going to be enjoying the views and the sights, and you're going to be just more relaxed.
I want to be more connected to everything
on the rails.
Now I always ask people this: is like, do you really love motorcycles? Because every time you jump on it, you're so ready to get off of it. Like you got to haul ass. Like there is no journey to you. It's all about where you're going.
Yeah.
I
mean that's fun and shit. Like, okay, great. We want to rip from the light to the next light. Okay, fine. But, when you're on the road and shit and you got 5 hours ahead of you, 6 hours ahead of you, just chill out. Let's roll. Like, let's
go check that spot out over there. Let's go do that.
Fucking go eat something on the way and chill and relax and fucking, if you want to mob, great, let's mob. But it's okay to just like look around for a while too. Like, I like that. Like when I'm riding, I like to just fucking check shit out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of that's the goal with the whole El Diablo run, is to kind of back road it from here to SoCal, like San Diego area, and then roll with the homies from there down across the border.
That's what we're gonna do too, yeah.
And I think it'd be fun, man. Especially if you guys we joined and did that. We met you guys out in like West Texas somewhere.
I'm telling you, me and
my boy Shifter Crew said he was down.
They're going?
Taylor, yeah.
That's tight.
I don't know how many of his friends are going, but I know that he's down to go.
Yeah, there's gonna be about 4 of us.
Yeah. Right now, we only got 2 people confirmed from Dallas.
It's a haul. Most people. Plus, you have to have a passport. Or
I've got the wife on that. We talked about it earlier in the week.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, but also
you got to want to go there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to, but
I mean, like for other people,
everyone.
You have to really want to go there.
Yeah. It's not it's like when you go to Sturgis, like there's this, I'm in Sturgis, like there's something to project to the world, and I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm just saying that exists. You know what I mean? Like
you go to let everybody know you went.
Yeah. You want to go at the thing that everybody else is doing and say, hey, I was there too. To me, with this event, like other than the fact that, yes, I am trying to like video capture it, maybe tell a story with it or whatever the fuck. But at the same time, like
You ever been to Mexico?
No, I've never been.
It's sick.
So I want to experience that.
It's sick. I only went once. I went last year. And that's what makes me want to go back. But this time, like instead of like a vacation with the wife type deal, I want to go like with the homies. Because that shit's fucking... Like I was there in Mexico thinking to myself like, fuck, I want to go to the bar over there. Like, let's go have some fun. Let's go rip around like in the golf cart, not the fool much. Like, oh, chill out. Okay, fine. Bring your buddies next time. Okay, I'll go with my buddies next time. Like, it's gonna be dope.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal with that, But I mean, and I've been telling everybody this is that like I've never ridden a hardtail. You know what I mean? Yes, I have. I rode one
in Galveston.
In Galveston, that's right.
Galveston.
But I've never ridden one like, okay, I'm going to be on this thing all day. So I'm not saying like, I mean, I could literally jump on this bike around town and be like, oh my God, this is going to suck. I'm going to hate that.
It probably won't because your FXR chopper, I guarantee you, probably doesn't have much.
Yeah, it doesn't have much. I mean, it still has suspension, so but it's just a like I think that when Haney was saying this best, he said like you just ride it the way it feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's what dictates how they ride. So when you see someone riding a bike that looks very uncomfortable, well, they've already figured out how to like.
Yeah, that's why you see them. They're on their chopper way back here, and they got their, they found that little spot. It might look like dog shit. They're so comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah, once you find your little spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is so it's like the other thing is I've had some people, not a lot, but just people that are being vested and interested in it. Like, are you going to sell this bike? Because it's always been a thing about the FXR chop that I don't want to sell it.
Yeah.
But it's like, ask me if I want to sell a bike that I haven't finished and that I have no idea if I'm going to enjoy or not, but I have to do this trip on it first, whether it's to El Diablo or if it doesn't make it, then I'll do the Born Free one. It's hard to say if I'm going to sell it. Like, I commend you for this, but when I build a bike or I'm customizing a bike, I am dreaming
I know.
of these places to ride and be at on this bike. And the last thing I can, unless it was just...
I said, there's that line,
there's got to be a line, right?
I have a business, I have to be for profit,
Yeah.
And when I built my last one, that bike was built literally with everything I ever wanted, the way I wanted it. Like
that police bike, that last one?
RP.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. It took a lot of time for me to like find the little things that I wanted for it and to keep it the way I wanted. And I literally rode it to fucking the dealership for a show, and then somebody saw it, and then it was literally gone the next week.
Damn.
I rode it on the highway one time, and then like just breaking miles around town, but like to actually ride it was like one time somewhere that I wanted to go. After that, it was just test riding it for the customer. It's like it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
But that's why I said this bike, I'm going to keep it simple, just not going to sell it. I almost sold my tour bike because I had somebody who really wanted it, and then glad I said no because they have me build them one now. So
that's the point, right?
Yeah, it worked out, but I could have said yes. That's the whole point. Yeah. I could have said yes, and I'm glad I did not.
But didn't we talk about this on like a podcast after the tour? It's like I never want to entertain it because I don't want to know what people value it at.
That's what happened, and so then that's why I was like, I think I told you about it.
I mean, I think
it was something that I just was like, I can't believe I said no to this. And I was just like, and then when I did, it kind of went away. And then he popped back up with what about, can you do me one? I was like, glad I said
Now
no.
we're talking.
Now we're talking. Now I'm glad I said no. So now I know for sure I will never sell it. I would have to be like under a bridge with just me and that bike, like with a for sale sign to finally sell it. You know, like
I would feel too. There's got to be like a lot of sentimental value,
So
not
much.
just because of the bike and the tour, but like it really kind of catapulted your brand, and took you to like that next level. Which I mean, for all the good and all the headaches that come with that.
Yeah.
But it was a milestone in your business career. Like
and all the people that like I met through it, all the the
Indian Larry event.
Yeah, like going to the to the block party and being able to be invited into the back to dig into a box to find the push rod collars that are on that bike, like insane. To have Paul Cox do the seat, insane. Like just all these shit, just like ain't going nowhere, dude. Like I said, I'd be under a bridge with a for sale sign. That's the only way that shit would ever happen.
But that's kind of the thing. So like I've had a lot of people would reach out and they'd be asked how much, and I'd say it's not for sale, but we can build you one.
Yeah.
And like I like in my head, I might have talked about it on the podcast. In my head, there's a version of that bike that can be done for about 30 grand, right? It's an Evo motor. It's not really doing anything other than like if you start with a good donor bike.
Yeah.
There's a version of that where it's got an SNS 124 fucking, twin cam or like there's so many things you can do with it that it depends on what kind of money they want to put in it.
Yep.
But I mean, if you just think about the money, like the swing arm, like yours, the swing arm, the motor,
a lot of money.
The wheels, like that's like over 15 grand right there.
The motor alone, I think, is now the SH93, the shovel head from SNS. I think now is like fucking 12 grand or something.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So you have like, I think in a lot of guys' heads, they were wanting to see about buying it. We're thinking it was like some $10,000 to $15,000 bike.
Yeah, for the motor. I'll pull the motor out for you and I'll buy another one.
Yeah, it's like,
you want me to sell you a shovel head? Great, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people they realize they just look at it like, oh, cool, it's a shovel head FXR. I don't think they realize it's like, nah, man, that's an SNS motor that's got a lot of money into it, not just your uncle's old clapper that's been sitting in the back,
right?
That I just
honestly,
spit shined.
I don't know what, dude. It was like I was like on Dragon Ball Z. You ever seen that dude? He's like, yeah, and he like lights himself up. I feel like that's how I was when I was building that bike. And then for me to do that again, like that's gonna be pretty difficult. I feel like because there were some in the moment things that like affected that.
I'm sure
it's high stakes, man.
It's high stakes, exactly.
I was gonna say you said it downstairs where you're talking about when you got picked for the tour. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing standing next to these dudes. So I'm gonna swing for the fences because I don't want to come in here and look silly.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right,
nobody's
cool.
done a shovel head yet. I hope maybe if you're listening to this,
Brian tried to.
Yeah, and so did Nick.
FXR Tour, yeah. I mean FXR Bazaar.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah, he tried to do one. I want to see that one done. That one looked cool.
Yeah, he had some swag coming on that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, there's that, man. I think that because when they look at a custom built FXR, you can only.
But I mean,
there's
like,
only a couple things
shit like that
well,
too. It's like
what people are doing because I think that, and this is a generalization. So when I say people, I don't mean everybody. I'm just saying generally people are looking at every part they can identify that they can go look on a website and see how much that part costs.
Yeah, but it's
the
like
one
the
thing
tank,
that's always a question is labor.
Yeah,
right?
like I said, the tank. Like how do you value the tank?
Yeah, you got to do it
right.
And so it's like this. Whenever I do a helmet, right? The helmet costs this much. The portrait on top, when I do those, is charged $100 an hour.
Right.
Typically, it takes me, if I'm only doing it the way I typically do it, I can do it within 6 hours. So it's $600 for that portrait.
Right.
In the world of like building and doing fabrication, it's the same concept.
It's exactly the same.
Well, how many hours does it take to build this frame?
Right.
Well, when you add it all up at a fabrication rate of whether that's $70 an hour or $150, depending on where you're at with it.
Where you're at, yeah.
It's like that could be a $4,000 or $5,000 like on my frame to build that frame. That's just to take the frame that already exists,
right, and make it look like that.
Do that,
right?
And
there's easily 40 to 80 hours, if not more, just in making that frame look like that.
Yeah,
and I'm not even cutting anything in half. I'm cutting shit off.
Yeah,
that's all I'm removing shit. I'm not doing anything else. but it's just so much shit involved with it.
Yep.
So much. And you have to be meticulous, because if not, you are going to cut something in half and you're not going to want to put it back, you know?
Yeah.
But some people don't. That's why, like, I started doing this thing where, like, if a customer starts asking how much ballpark, you know, for this one job, I'm like, all right, well, you know, let's just pretend a handlebar job. Oh, well, how much to do bars? Oh, well, it depends on the bike, blah, blah. And then what I'll do is I'll tell them, hey, look, what bars do you want? They're like, oh, I want T-bars. Google, like, how much T-bars are. Like, I'll just tell people, like, hey, man, yeah, you want a swing arm? Hey, yeah, Google the swing arm. Like, or here's the link to my site. Here's how much the swing arm is. If they're like, oh, shit, $3,000 for a swing arm? You're already out, dude.
Yeah.
Because you had no idea that was a $3,000 swing arm, and it cost probably another $1,000 to put the bitch on, because now you need to get radial brakes. Now, you know, like, all that shit that goes with it. I give them a little homework so that they can, like, realize for themselves how much this shit costs. Mm-hmm. You know, like, otherwise they're just look at a thing and they don't put any value on it. They're like, what do you mean it's $5,000? Look it up. The fucking part alone's $4,000, you know?
That's what I feel like happens when guys that are
then they own it, you know?
The performance bagger, even when it was the big wheel bagger dudes coming into performance baggers, they assumed because it was not as much surface value, like they thought there was not as much work going into these bikes, and to some degree there isn't, but in a different way there is. Yeah. And when they would when you'd have someone that is used to, it's like this, you know, like you would look at like a Borla exhaust for a Camaro and it was like $800, but for some reason the Corvette one's $1,200. Why? Yeah. It really was just because it's like a more expensive car.
Yeah.
But I've never understood, and I always tell people this, say you want me to paint a bagger and I say this much, but then you tell me, oh, well, it's just a Virago bagger, which is like a Kawasaki or Suzuki one or whatever. I'm like, that doesn't change
the amount of work,
that's involved.
Right.
Just because you've changed the value of the thing that I'm putting the work on.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if it's a flat piece of metal or a fucking, you know, a engine cover to a Bugatti.
Right.
It's the same surface.
Right. And
so I can't charge the Bugatti guy $10,000 when I would normally charge it.
You have to find that fucking balance.
It works both ways. You don't rate people.
Nope.
You just, hey, look,
you find that balance.
This is where I'm comfortable doing the best work I can put out.
Right. Because imagine if you could charge for every hour you did something. Oh shit. Then
I wouldn't do a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be fucking getting paid.
Then you'd be on the beach. Yeah. You wouldn't be here. But then you got to be like, oh fuck, I build 3 hours. The book says 3 hours, but it took me 5. Well, I just lost 2.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know, shit goes like that all the time. But it's fun. I have fun with it.
Well, it's just part of it, right? So back in the day, and the reason I try to bring up this stuff in conversations is because back in the day on these TV shows, these biker build-offs.
Oh yeah, it was.
This was a part of the conversation.
3 episodes
that educated people. Yeah. No, think about it. In these episodes, they would talk about the finances it would take to build certain things.
Yeah.
And that gave people a baseline or a platform to understand what they're getting into if they want to do this stuff.
Yeah, I see what you're
now,
saying.
there's always someone out there that's going to do stuff cheaper, easier, and whatever, and you're always rolling the dice whether or not you're going to get a quality product.
Pay for it twice. Sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not.
Sometimes that dude in his garage that's painting is hungry and really fucking talented and really has a lot of...
And he's okay with the $500.
Yeah, he's just like...
That's all he needs this week.
But then there's a lot of times, more often than not, that you're getting...
a $500 paint job.
Exactly.
Yeah, but even that guy that does the good job at $500, he's only charging that $500 because he doesn't feel he's at the point yet where he can charge.
Yeah, and you got to work
what
up.
His idols, what his idols are charging.
Yeah, you definitely got to work up.
Yeah, so I just say, like, when you talk about what it costs to build some of these things on a podcast, not to boast or brag or to fucking be anything, but just to kind of put it out there. Look, you know, the amount of work that goes into an FXR versus a bagger doesn't mean that one's going to be worth more than the other.
Yeah.
It's like if it costs someone, you know, like Corey's M8 bagger, like his M8 FXR, he wants $43,000 for that. That is more than fucking fair for how much work is into that.
Yeah,
and how dialed and reliable it is. And it's all OEM FXR parts.
Yeah.
You know, you're not buying
We'll go build one.
Exactly. Try.
Yeah.
You know, try to go
get. Sure, you could do it for 30.
Yeah.
But you have another $10,000 of your time into it.
Exactly.
Do you want to work on your own shit, or are you going to pay somebody to do it? Because if you're not going to pay somebody, you're going to do it with your time. And what is your time worth?
Yeah. And for most people, they don't have the ability to do and the talent to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So then
even
you're paying
if you
someone
did,
else.
even if you had the talent, then you're not looking at that bike saying it's worth it because you're going to go do it yourself. The only person that's going to look at something like that is the person who A, can't do it themselves, or B, doesn't have the time to do it. Period.
But they want it.
Yeah. And that's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah. You can have a bike right now that you can fly in from anywhere in the country.
Right. And it's a unique bike at that, it's
yeah.
And it has some, I don't know if you want to call it notoriety, credibility, or some, some known things. Like it was one of the ones where like when it came out, you're like, holy shit, look at this thing.
We were talking about it the other day, and I really feel like even though, FXR division are really the pioneers behind the M8 swap, I feel like when Corey did it, and because he was so open with putting out and sharing the knowledge, that I feel like that's when the door really opened for people to really jump into.
Well, they knew it was possible.
Because I mean,
and reliable and able to be rigid.
To my knowledge, there hasn't been an FXR tour guy, builder, other than probably FXR division, who hasn't asked Corey for some advice on building an M8 FXR.
And that's what I said. He made it possible. You see FXR division online. They put, they did their deal, but you're like, well, fuck, it's FXR division.
Yeah.
There's not like, unless you know who they are and like the team that they have and kind of like maybe how small it really actually is.
Yeah.
You might think like, oh fuck, these dudes are way out there. It's unattainable. Wow, they did it. When Corey did it, you're like, this dude did that shit in his garage.
Yeah.
With
no lift.
No lift. Basic shit. Like really basic tooling. You know, he just knows what he's doing, and he made it, I believe, feel like it's attainable.
He might be the reason why everybody's trying to do these things in their garage now.
I think he, like I said, I think he is. He's showing people like, hey, you could do it, and that's literally like his pitch line is like, you can do this shit with
rocket science.
Yeah, he's like, you can do this shit with fucking a cutoff wheel and a fucking grinder or whatever. It's like you can, you just got to know how to use that shit.
I also feel like with Corey, because of his attention to detail that he has, that shit is so like to an OEM spec. A lot of people do custom motorcycles.
It's its own thing.
But dude, like that shit is very, very refined.
Yeah, it's its own thing. That's a. We were talking about that earlier. You were saying like the resto mod thing, and like there's so many different like this table. There's so many different like grains of wood.
It's particle board.
It's all but I mean all wood. Like if it was wood, there's all these different grains in it. Like that's the same thing we're dealing with here. It's like motorcycles is this whole thing. And there's all these little grains in it.
Yeah.
And just find the one that you like, and that's it.
Yeah.
You might be
cool
an oak guy and I'm a cedar dude. It's okay.
Right.
They're just
Cedar dude. Cedar dude.
different vibes.
That comes off the tongue real easy.
I'm a cedar dude.
All right. Well, what you guys think? Where we at?
I think it's time to go
140?
take your bike and
some
some parts.
Well. Kept it
And,
into one glass. This is all water now. Looks like
Nice.
piss, but you got me all scared drinking the ice now.
I told you, tomorrow if I wake up at your house and we're both like hemorrhaging and shit, it's from that cancer ice.
First off, I'm resilient as fuck. So
I am too.
I'm from the hood.
Yeah.
Well, not really the hood, but like real close to it.
Real close to it. I could see it from my backyard.
Yeah. I was scared to walk to school with Jordans. But yeah. Renny, thank you. Appreciate it. Looking forward to
Anytime.
the swap this weekend. And
Oh yeah.
2025.
I know.
Here we go.
It's here.
Let's do it. All right.